There are some special tools you will need to foil your art. This isn't something that you can do without these unless you do a different method. There are methods that you can use foiling for rubbing, like a rub-on. There's also, embossing, which is a totally different technique, but will give you a metallic effect if that's the powder that you choose. I do have a class on embossing, and it is linked below if that's something you're interested in. But for the sake of this class, we're going over how to do a heat transfer for your foiling. So the things that you will need is your finished piece that is on a computer and digitized. And then you will need a LaserJet printer. You will need the LaserJet printer paper. So this is just HP. You need your foil, the heat transfer foil. This is just Heidi Swap. They have this on Amazon. This is the rose gold color, which I am a fan of as of lately. I don't know how that happened. I used to not love it that much, and now I'm into it. But anyway, the link to this is also below, and then this is really the cheapest laminator Amazon had, and this is just the marigold. The link for this is in the description also, but you do need a laminator. So again, real fast, you need a digitized piece, LaserJet printer, LaserJet printer paper, your foil, your laminator, and that is it. And if you have those things, please let's continue. If you don't, let's continue anyway, because you can always get the things and then you'll know exactly how to do it. Cool. Okay, let's get into it. So I am just going to assume that you do not have an iPad or something to instantly digitize your work. The first thing I'm going to want to do is actually create my quote. So I'm actually doing this two ways. I am going to letter a word, and then I'm going to move it to my computer and yes, digitize it, but I'm also going to add text to that quote. So just the way that I want this to look, and that way it'll also give you an idea of what you can do with this. And this can be anything. It can be an illustration or a word. Okay, so then I'm going to scan this in. And I just have an Epson Perfection V19. This is a decent scanner. I would probably go with just one step up. I think it's a $10 difference for the Epson Perfection V39, which is also linked below. So you guys have quick, easy access to that. Okay, so once this launches, I'm just going to press scan. I have it set to 300 dpi, and then I can crop or do anything that I need to do once that scans in. I'm also going to open Photoshop. Okay, so see how that automatically pulls up where that scan just came in. So I am going to, first I'm just going to crop this because I don't need, you can do this in Photoshop or I'm using a Mac, so this is just preview. If you have a Mac to crop, you just select where you're going to want to crop it and then press Command K and then save. You can also do auto levels. That usually makes this a little more bold. Save that, and I'm going to do the rest in Photoshop. So I'm going to bring this over, and once it's in Photoshop, it's got some dirty areas here, but before I do anything, I'm just going to get rid of the background. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. I do have a class on digitizing your art, which will show you 4 different methods. For this one, I'm just going to adjust the levels and then use my magic wand eraser. So I'm just going to press Command L on my keyboard, or you would use Control L for levels on a PC, and then I'm just going to drag this the right side here up, or excuse me, to the left, and that will make this nice and bright white. If I adjust this one and pull it in, it makes those nice and dark. I actually am going to want to decrease or get rid of this saturation of color because I want it to be black and white. So you can say Command U on your keyboard, which will bring up the hue, saturation, and lightness, or you can do Control U on a PC. So I'm just going to pull my saturation all the way down, and then I can adjust the contrast on this also so that it's nice and dark. And if that doesn't work quite as much as you want it to because you decided that you're going to use a blue pen like me, you can always open curves and then drag it all the way down. There we go. And it gets it nice and dark. You can see I have a lot of imperfections here. Not a huge deal, but I am going to clean up a few things. But before anything, I'm just going to flatten my layers. Everyone's going to tell you not to do this, but I'm going to. So I'm going to select them all and merge them into one layer, and now I am going to go to my eraser tool, and that's just E on the keyboard. Don't have to press Command or anything, and I'm just going to remove the areas that are white just by clicking on them, inside letters and on the outside. So that's done, and then I might just want to clean up these little, if you see those spots right here, it'll be easier to spot if you add a new layer, put it underneath the layer that you're working on, and just put a color background. See, like I missed that part. To put a color background, you would just press G on your keyboard, which gives you the paintbrush, or you can come over here and select it, and then choose your color on the left side here, or you might have a color swatch right here on the right you can choose from. But yeah, then you highlight that, and then you can see any yucky areas. So I'm going back up to select this layer, and I'm going to, you can either use your eraser tool or a lasso tool. If you choose your eraser tool, know that you might need to change which type it is. You can right click eraser tool here, or magic eraser tool, background eraser tool. Something that you may or may not know is that you can actually press Shift E, because E is the tool itself, but then Shift E changes which type of eraser, and then your bracket keys will increase the size. So that's a nifty keyboard trick. So I'm just going over these areas that have some debris, which help clean that up. I'm going to press Z on my keyboard to get the zoom, and then click and pull to the right or pull to the left to zoom out, but pulling to the right, zoom in, go back to my eraser tool, shrink that a little bit, and just clean up those little marks, which is most likely dust from my scanner. It's not my favorite. Okay, so I don't care about those tiny ones because this is just going on a piece of paper, just as small as I wrote it. I will clean up this imperfection right here. You might want to just drag that to make a smooth line. Okay, here, and then zoom out if you need to. All right, that seems decent enough. I'm not taking this, too seriously right now because I just want to give you the main idea. Okay, so debris, also known as Peggy, clean your scanner. And then, oh yeah, this guy. So I'm going to press, see, I was on this tool for my eraser, which was cleaning up debris, which I just saw. I have a bunch right here. But what I'm going to do to get this main spot is press Shift E until I get to the magic wand eraser, and then I'll get rid of that. Okay, so that seems good to me. Now I'm going to change this layer. Now I'm going to select the color fill layer, and I'm going to make it white. So I just click on my color picker, and then I go to white, and then press G for my paintbrush, and then it goes back to white. And now I'm going to go to my, it's crooked, and I don't want it to be crooked, so I'm going to go to my layer, and then press Command T, or you can press Control T on a PC. And I'm just going to make it so that this is up and down to me. But I also need to shrink it because you can see it's going off the page. So I'm going to get that smaller and then drag it to the center about right here, and then press Enter. I also noticed that there was a little area here that I want to fix, so I'm just going to do that. You can do this with a lasso too, and you just press L for lasso. There's your loose lasso, which lets you do whatever you want. If you want to deselect, press Command D or Control D on a PC. And then there is, if you press Shift L, it gives you a straight line lasso. So basically any place that you click, it gives you a straight line from your starting and end point, and then you double click and it snaps in place. Or the other one, Shift L, is magnetic. so it kind of magnetizes to what you're doing. I'm just going to use the loose one. So Shift L again, and I'm just going to bring this down to get rid of this weird chunk. There we go. Okay, now I just want to add some text. So I'm creating a new layer and selecting T for text on my keyboard, clicking, and I want to write "you are," and of course it's in white because that's the color I have selected. So I'm going to create black. There we go. And then I'm going to increase this, probably a little smaller, and then I'm going to drag it. Where do we want to put it? Okay, so that is what I am going to foil. If you created something with an iPad, this is super easy because you don't need to do anything in Photoshop at all. You just need to print it directly to your LaserJet printer, but this is assuming that you don't have that, and this is how you would go about making this work. So I'm gonna save this as an image file to my desktop. There we go, sure. Okay, so now I've got that on my desktop. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to print it, and I have my LaserJet printer selected, and then I am going to, let's go landscape with that. And I don't know if I'm going to keep it as that or cut it down to shape, but I do want this smaller because I want to emphasize saving foil. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So I'm going to print this. We will talk about what to do after it's printed. Okay, so you've printed your piece on your LaserJet printer on your LaserJet printer paper. Now you want to turn on your laminator. You'll notice on laminators it has a light to indicate when it is ready. When you first turn on a laminator, it needs to warm up, and you need to give it time to do that. So they have fast warm up ones. This one takes about 5-ish minutes or so. But yeah, so we have to wait for that to warm up. In the meantime, we have to lay our foil down. So what I do is I take my foil out and then I kind of measure how much I'm gonna need. So don't think that you need to pull this out, where it's like this and cut all of that off. Save your foil. It will appreciate it in the long run when you still have some. So yes, I could go like this, or I could see that, no, that length actually works perfectly, and then I really only need to cut about this much. So I'm going to do that. And then I will have another piece that will be that size for something else. Salvage your materials. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in here, and then I am going to lay my foil over the piece that I created. And the way that this works, the laser on the paper will react to the foil when we put it through the laminator. I will use another piece of paper to put over the foil so that when I run it through, it won't lift or anything. So I'm just using another piece of computer paper, printer paper to do that. Okay, so once my laminator heats up, I will be ready to go to feed this through. Okay, so now I have this green light indicating that my laminator is ready to go. So I'm going to take my piece and I'm just going to feed it in to the laminator, and this goes pretty slow. So I usually walk away and get some tea or some coffee or check my email or, fill in the blank. What do you do when you're waiting and waiting? Okay, so I just wanted to wait that long to show you when it's coming out. So that's about how fast it moves. And then once that's finished, I will show you your result. Okay, so this is finished and it's not moving anymore. It's loose, you can see, so it's not actually sitting inside of that, so you don't have to worry about that if you do come back too late. Alright, so I'm removing the top piece of paper, and then you can see that the foil now looks like it is stuck. It is stuck only to where the laser printed. So to take this up, it is simple, just pull it away. And then you have your foiled piece, and it is so very pretty. And that's all there is to it.